This is the very same slab of Jatoba that I bought from Yandles and that I started using in my recent video on edge grain boards. In this video I'm going to make an end grain board and I want to show you exactly how simple it is. So I've broken it down into simple steps, and step one is cut the timber to rough length. I've covered off how to work out exactly how much timber you need in another video, and I'll put a link to that down below in the description. I've also got to cut this board roughly in half so it'll fit on my planer, but bearing in mind what width strips I want, which you'll see in step 3 in a minute. Now step 2 is to plane and square edge the timber. Fairly straightforward, plane one face and square one edge to that face. And when you come to parallel in the second face, or thickness in the timber down to the size you want, whatever size you end up making the timber thickness in it down to, that's going to be the width of the final strips in your finished board. Again, that's covered off in the other video that I mentioned, link in the description. You don't have to worry about getting these faces perfectly smooth and completely flat at this point. You want them pretty damn close, but bear in mind there's another flattening step that we need to go through a little bit down the line, so pretty damn good is good enough. Now step 3 I've called cut the strips to width, or cut to width. Now this is where you'll make your pattern, and if this is your first one, then keep it really simple. I've done exactly that in this one just to prove the point how simple it is. So I've got, I think, 4 or 5 pieces of exactly the same width, and then the last piece is half the width of the others, so that as you'll see at the end, when I alternate the final pieces, I get like the brick pattern. It'll make sense, trust me. Now as part of the glue up, right before the glue up, I'm just running the pieces that I've cut down on the saw back through the planer, just to make sure I haven't got any saw marks in them, and to ensure that I get a nice tight glue joint. So as with any other glue up, you want to make sure all the joints have got a good amount of glue on them. Better to have a bit of squeeze out than not enough. Good layer of glue on every piece bar the last one. Good amount of pressure, making sure that each one of the joints oozes out that little bit of glue, so that you can sleep comfortably at night knowing you don't have a dry joint. Now step 5, flatten the board that you've just made, pop it out the clamps, knock off the glue snots, and use whatever tool you've got to hand. I'm lucky enough that this board will fit on my planer, so I'm going to use my planer, but you could use a drum sander, you can use a belt sander, you can use an orbital sander, a hand plane, whatever you've got is irrelevant. Grab the easiest tool, quickest tool, and get the board flat. So step 6 is cut the height of the board. This may seem a little bit confusing because you're cutting off the length of the board, but bear with. First thing is trim a nice clean edge on the blank that you've just made, and then set yourself up a stop block on your fence and measure in from the end of that nice clean cut the height that you want the board to be, plus the little allowance that you'll have already accounted for in your base measurements, covered off in the previous video, link below. So I want my board to finish at 50 mil, so I've measured in 52 mil. Each strip I'm going to cut is going to be 52 mil long, or rather, when I take it off the saw and turn it, which you'll see in a minute, it'll be 52 mil high. That's going to give me 2 mil to sand and plane with once this second and final glue up is done. So on to step 7 and the second and final glue up, and this is where you get to see your grain pattern come to life. I've decided to go with a book matched effect, so I get to see the true grain of the timber opposing itself. I think it looks absolutely beautiful. Once you've chosen the pattern and you've got them all aligned, you're really happy with it, turn them all back over on their side, all apart from the last piece, and again a good coat of glue on it. Better to have a bit of squeeze out than a dry join. Spread the glue with your favourite applicator, and then turn all the pieces back over again and get them all aligned. You want to get the board as square as possible at this point. I've got a real old roofing square that I use. Helps me to keep everything in line. And then get the clamps on, set it to one side, and leave it 24 hours ideally. So on to step 8, flatten and sand. I start by removing the glue snots, and then I put a little round over on the back edge of the board, and then I run it across the planer. It works an absolute treat. I don't get any blowout whatsoever, but I do take off a really small amount with each pass, just until I get the bottom of the board flat. Once I've got the bottom flat, I then run it through my drum sander. Again, use any tool that you've got to hand. You don't have to plane the bottom and drum sand the top. You could use belt sander, orbital sander, whatever tool you've got. Once you've got the two surfaces flat and parallel, then it's time to sand. I use the Rotec 150 in fixed drive mode with 80 grit paper all over to begin with, and then 120 grit paper all over. For the edges of the board, again, I'm lucky enough to have this wonderful belt sander, so I pop it on this and then sand with 120 grit as just mentioned. So I've got the whole of the board at this point at 120 grit. Step 9 is handles and corners. For the handles, I've got a simple little jig that I made up, and I've got a bearing guided bowl and tray bit. I'll put a link to where I get it down below, and just take shallow passes, little bit at a time, so that you reduce tear out until you finally run the bit, or the bearing rather, along the jig, and you get a lovely little handle shape. Nice and simple, very straightforward approach. No specialist tools needed really. For the corners, I've got a 9mm roundover bit in this B&Q Special JCB router, and I've put an extended base on it just so I got that little bit more support. And my approach with this to avoid tipping the router is to pivot the router, and I keep my focus on one of the columns, the stem of the router, so that that stays on the board all the time, and then I avoid tipping and I get a perfect little corner. Top tip. And now for step 10, the last step, edges, sand and finish. On the handles, I put a 3.2mm roundover on, so it feels nice when you pick it up on the fingers. On the rest of the board, I use a 2.2mm roundover, nice and small, so it keeps it looking a little bit modern actually. The larger the roundover you put on the board, the more of a old-fashioned feel it gets. I think that's because minimalism is in at the moment. A little bit of hand sanding on the edge to make sure they're nice and smooth. Then it gets a damping, swell the grain. Once that's dried, which never usually takes very long, I give it a final sanding all over with 240 grit. And then it's on to the finish. 2 steps with the finish. First step is a good coat of mineral oil. I don't bother with an oil bath. I don't find it brings anything to the project. So a good coat, leave that to dry as long as you can, a good few hours, depending on the temperature of your shop, maybe overnight. But once the oil's been completely absorbed, then the final step is a mixture of pure beeswax and exactly the same mineral oil, and I melt 30% beeswax into the mineral oil on the stove very carefully, and then apply that with a cloth again or a piece of Kleenex kitchen roll. Put on as much as you like. The board will only absorb whatever it wants, and any excess that's left on the top, polish off with a clean cloth. And that's it, the entire process. You're done. And you'll be left with a beautiful board that'll last for years. Thanks very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. Any comments, please leave down below, and I hope to see you next time. Ta-ra.